Hello, welcome to Swapping Joysticks. We have a very, very special episode today. But first, I am Ben Ostwick, otherwise known as Biggest Bennis online, and
I'm Ed Nightingale, also Ed_Knights.
There we go. And we are joined by two amazing voice actors. Best known right now, I think, as for their work on Baldur's Gate 3. Ed, would you like to introduce?
We have Lae'Zel and Shadowheart, Devora Wilde and Jennifer English.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
How are you both doing today? I know you've been busy, right?
Yeah,
look. Yeah. Well, Jen, you can tell everybody what we've been up to today, or what you've been up to mostly.
Today, the reason why I'm dressed like this is because, okay, basically, how do I even start with this, Dev? We did a D&D game as a cast on High Rollers. Check it out. It was very fun. And in that D&D game, Lae'Zel and Shadowheart went on a shopping trip together, and Shadowheart adopted an imp called Bing Bong, which Shadowheart became very attached to and kind of adopted. And then someone decided, when there was the inevitable big battle at the end, someone decided to use Bing Bong as a weapon by setting him on fire and throwing him into the ground. So today...
I did it for the good of the group.
Oh, it's you?
Yeah, it was someone.
By my choices.
And so, for some reason, because my girlfriend and I have been streaming lately, we've given it a go and loved it. And so we decided to throw this fictional imp a funeral. And so that's what we've been doing. And we brought Dev on to answer for herself.
You brought the murderer to the funeral of the victim.
I did not answer. I did not answer for myself, as you can imagine.
There was very little apology. It was very funny. We were just mainly pissing ourselves while playing slideshows of people's beautiful fan art and playing videos from
very funny.
It was we had a great time. But yeah.
So how well have you two got to know each other? Because when you were you recording separately, or is it more sort of after the game's come out that you've really got to sort of hang out as a cast?
Yeah, after the game, I'd say, because none of us recorded at the same time or in the same booth, or in the same volume, should I say. So yeah, and I feel like Jen and I kind of in the past like few months have sort of got like closer and like hung out, and Jen and Leona and I we're like a triumvirate. So yeah, I'd say the last few months we didn't really have much interaction at all during the last 4 years.
Oh, I did direct you.
Yeah, but not very often.
No, not very often. Like I took a few sessions, but yeah. I think I knew Neil and I knew. No, that was it. Yeah, it has been really recent. Like it's weird, isn't it? Like we've got all this 4 years of feeling like we're close to one another because we like have imaginary conversations with each other because we never record in the booth. So our imaginary friends have now become real friends.
Yeah.
And were you working throughout the lockdown then? Was that how was it working through there, or yeah?
I think there was a little pause. There was a pause of a few months, and then as soon as it was like safe to do so, we started going back, and it was very weird because there was like no one in the studio. It was just us and I guess one person from Pit Stop, like a mocap engineer, and then everybody else would be remote. So it was very eerie going in and literally being the only two people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And then gradually people started to come back, and now it's like a full house again. So it's quite nice.
But it was strange. Like you'd be marked up by someone, like one of the engineers with like their full like mask and like, you know, the shield on, just kind of going like, ooh.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
Breathe on each other. And yeah, and then outside of home, that like I saw more of more of the recording studio than I did of anywhere else other than my own home. It was bizarre. Yeah.
So when you got the call that you were going to be part of Baldur's Gate 3, did you anticipate like how big it was going to be? Did you know much about the series, or has the success of it sort of been a bit of a shock since it's come out?
I knew nothing. I was like a newborn baby. I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know what the game was until probably about a year into the process, and then even when I was told, I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, I had no context of the game, of the world. Honestly, my only reference for Dungeons and Dragons was this like guy who we lived with in our first year of uni in halls, and he was like obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons, and that was my only reference. And I'm not gonna lie, he was slightly odd. And that was my reference really for D&D. So there it is. There you have it. And now obviously I know so much about the world, and I know like and I love it. I love it.
Played it now, yeah.
I played it now, and yeah, I really, really like it. But it took me a long time to understand. Like I'd have to get given so much context and to understand what was happening. So yeah.
Feels like it's gone mainstream now with D&D. Like the fact that this game is just rated so highly, and how many it's broken so many records on PC with how many people are playing it. It's D&D isn't just for the quiet shy nerds really anymore.
No, I think Baldur's Gate's made D&D cool, and that's down to you.
I love that. Love that.
I love
it
that.
does feel like whenever we're in a new social situation, and it's people that I haven't met before, and I mention the game, and people, like most people, have heard of it, and you're like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. Okay, great. Yeah, I just thought it would be niche.
I thought that too. But now actually, even like the playthroughs I've seen and the clips I've seen, because I haven't played it myself yet, it seems I'd never call it like nerdy. And I know everyone's referring to like it's like a really nerdy niche, but it seems really mainstream and like very cinematic and very not how I would have imagined that when it was sort of presented to me initially. So I don't know. Which is good, which is very cool. But it seems like there's a lot more people that are fans of it than I initially thought, for sure.
Yeah. And when you first saw your characters, are you given a sort of, I guess, a D&D character sheet type thing to sort of explain who the characters are, or is there a chance to sort of really develop the characters as you're recording?
No, I mean, we were kind of talked through our character, because even when we auditioned, we weren't auditioning for, I think that's right with you, Dev, as well. We were kind of auditioning for general races, general races, Yeah, and I certainly didn't know I was auditioning for a lead. I just thought it was for whatever NPCs they'd throw at me. And I think it was the same for most of us, actually, that first auditioned. And I forgot where I was going with that. What was the question?
About giving a character sheet? Like how much you knew about them, yeah.
Yeah. But everything was kind of conveyed to me verbally, rather than like given anything. So yeah, we did kind of develop the characters through the 4 years for sure, but also they hadn't written the full game. Like they were writing as we went along, so we were finding plot stuff out as we were going, and we'd find that out in the room. So yeah, very, very different approach.
I actually found my description, the description that my agent sent me when I booked this role for Lae'Zel, and it's about this big, and it's sort of everything that you'd expect from Lae'Zel, but that's all we got really. It was sort of like a paragraph, and I guess if you were familiar with the world, then you'd probably know like, a Githyanki is blah blah blah, or a half elf is blah blah blah, but I personally didn't know. So to me, I was like, okay, a Githyanki, it's like an alien. I think that's how she was presented to me, like as an alien. So that's kind of how I sort of went with it, really.
And
Space lizard.
Yeah. Still haven't forgiven for that imp. What was it like recording all the lines with the mocap? Because you were saying what it was like when you were in the studio, but the performance director Aliona Baranova explained how all the actors had dialogue and mocap captured, which seems like such a huge amount of work.
Yeah, I don't know if many games have done this, if any, like on this scale. It's yeah, I think that's what makes it so vibrant though. And I'm in my like first, like I've done like one session of sitting down and actually playing it. And like seeing how alive and genuine everyone feels. I like, no matter what, like how big the part is, I think it's one of the reasons it makes it really special. And especially like I watched some other playthroughs of other games recently, and I was like, oh yeah, it, like you're missing that human feel, that genuine feel from the physicality, and it just kind of stops you on those games. It really stops you from fully believing it. You feel like you're in a game, whereas this, it feels like you're in a world. So I'm so glad they did do that. I'm sure it was expensive as fury, but it's so
I'm sorry to interrupt. My baby's having a massive meltdown, so I have to go and see what's happening. But I am still here. I'm just going to turn my video off and mute myself.
Don't worry,
But
that's fine.
Still,
No problem
I am
at all.
still here, and I'm going to try and answer. But Jen, you might have to just take over for me.
I'll hold the fort, babe.
Yeah,
For Babe Zell.
I'm still here.
But babes.
Babe Zell.
How did you sort of come up with then with obviously the characterization is the vocal lines, but it's also therefore the physicality as well with the mocap. Like how did you come up with the full characterization of these characters?
With the help of performance directors, for sure. Particularly, I mean, Aliona is my girlfriend now, but she was like my main one, my only one really. And we kind of built that together and kind of looked at the history of like kind of speaking for Shadowheart, but looking at the character's history and like, right, okay, she's been trained from an early age, and like she's been in this particular cloister or like under this particular god, so there's going to be like a guardedness to her, but also this kind of warrior like strength to her. And so it kind of came pretty naturally, as well as like as we thought about it. It was a real sorry god, there's babies and there's girlfriends. Yeah, and Aliona, just to say as well, Aliona is a part of a team of performance directors. It's not just her, but she worked with me specifically. But yeah, it was a mixture of choices, but also it just kind of was there in the text. Do you know what I mean? Like who she is and how she was written kind of gave it to me, because John Corcoran is who wrote Shadowheart, is such a brilliant writer. It meant that there wasn't too much work. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I need to pause. I'm
fine.
so sorry about this.
That's right. We can pause it here actually as well. Okay, sorry. Yeah, there we go. We're back.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah. It's a really bizarre thing to find yourself, like situation to find yourself in as an actor, because it's such an unnatural situation. Like there's no other actor with you. There's no one at all with you. You've got your directors and your engineers behind a plate of glass, but also you're in a weird suit. You've got your headphones on. You've got loads of cameras trained on you, and it's a case of now act natural. And the first thing to go is your body, because you just feel like, oh, I'm not in a world. I'm not. So we had to rely completely on our imaginations and creating that world for ourselves. And I'm really glad I got to direct on the game as well. I was invited to direct and kind of saw the fear, especially for most of the new actors who hadn't done mocap before. Like, you can't help but be tense and nervous, and it does take a while. And I think it was a real privilege to do it for that long, to do it for 4 years and be able to get very comfortable with it and get used to it. But it did take a long time for it to feel normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work.
You said
Absolutely.
4 years. When did it start then? When was your first Do you remember your first session?
Yeah, 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, way before the pandemic started, when life was a bit more breezy and innocent.
Those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. Yeah. So started a few months, and then pandemic hit, and then we had 2 months off. It wasn't that long because it was because of the restrictions. Like, we went back as soon as it was legal to, basically, but because we're by ourselves in a room, it was really safe. It was just the marking up that was the only bit that there could have been a bit of risk, but even then, like, pretty minimal, because everyone was masked up. So yeah.
So in terms of both of your characters, I think it's maybe fair to say they're quite divisive characters, that fans sort of love to hate and hate to love, maybe. Did you expect that when you were doing the recording, and how have you found the fan reactions to your characters now that the game's out?
I think, to be fair, I think Shadowheart was only divisive at the beginning. I mean, perhaps there's still some people of a particular gender, probably, that don't like her. But I think, yeah, at the beginning in early access, she was a lot more abrasive, shall we say. And there's still an option for that. That can still happen if you are a dick to her, or she thinks you're being a dick to her. Can I swear on this podcast?
Absolutely, yeah, please do.
Fucking you. Yeah, I think that there's definitely still an option, but now, and it's really lovely playing it now and kind of knowing exactly what to press and what option to go for to win her over. But I think she's quite lovely, really. Like, she's just a bit private. So yeah, the reaction has been insane, and the community seem to really love her, and I feel like it goes so deep, the writing and her story, and I think people have responded super well to that, which I'm really glad about, because you feel quite vulnerable doing those kind of storylines, and, like, you know, I tried to put as much of myself into her as possible. So to do it and then people not even notice it, or, you know, kind of react badly to it, you do feel very exposed. So I'm really grateful that she has been so popular, and people have loved her romance, especially. And what's my favorite thing as a queer person is how many queer people seem to adore her as well. And my favorite post being that someone sent to me a Reddit post of a gay man saying that Shadowheart has changed his in-game sexuality and he's found himself romancing Shadowheart. So
Oh,
what?
Wow.
That's so wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
that is amazing. Yeah. Oh, but yeah.
I was just gonna say that I never saw her as a particularly divisive character, I guess. I mean, I saw her as like slightly bit of an understatement, you know, a bit of an abrasive, bit of an attitude. But I think we've been asked before, haven't we, Jen, like, oh, do we see them as evil? And I was like, definitely not, would never call her evil. But I can see how people would place her on that sort of, you know, end of the game. But likewise, you just reminded me, Jen, of a few neurodivergent people have reached out to me and said how much they identify with Lae'Zel, and I'd never ever clocked that until now, and now it all makes sense, and it's so cool again to have people identify with Lae'Zel in that way and like her for just the way she is, her, you know, her directness, her honesty, you know, that's the sides to her I see. I don't see those as bad things about her. She's just somebody that's brutally honest and says what she thinks, and people have an issue with that. But actually, you know, some would argue that she's the most honest character in the game.
And playing it, we like obviously have recruited Lae'Zel straight off. And one thing I really sense in the game is she helps the player when she really bloody well doesn't have to. And I feel like she's scared. They're all so scared.
Everyone
and I think
is,
we'll
for
just
sure.
go, like,
Everyone.
everyone is terrified. They could become a fucking squid lord at any point, and they're terrified. And I love Lae'Zel so much, and yeah, I completely second and what Dev said. And also, isn't it far more rewarding to get to know someone that isn't immediately like a golden retriever puppy? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's so much more rewarding to break through that and to work and to build up a relationship with someone.
But also,
I
you
think
have the whole spectrum of personalities in the companions. So if you want somebody that's a bit like that type of personality, you can go with like Karlak or Will or somebody. And then you have Lae'Zel and Shadowheart, they're a bit more like prickly maybe. And then you have Astarion that's just like foppish. And you know, you can pick and choose whatever you like. And I think the fact that all the companions and all the characters actually in this game are so distinctive, and I've seen so many comments about this, that even like the tiniest sort of like shopkeeper that you meet in a little side quest will be so distinctive and so memorable, is just a testament to how incredible the game is, how great the writing is, and how talented everybody is that's worked on this game, all 248 of the actors.
No, characters. Oh no, it is actors. How many characters are there?
Oh, countless.
Thousands.
Way more, I think.
Yeah.
Countless.
Way more.
Yeah, I guess you know somebody that voiced what? How many? 14 characters?
Oh, she voiced a few. She did some of sort of the
Who was
extra
that?
NPCs. Olivia Chappell is her name.
Oh, that rings a bell. Yeah.
I think she played a siren at one point, was one of the characters.
Great.
But yeah, I think she did multiple ones. So, you know, amazing.
So many characters.
Yeah.
But you're totally right about the characters. I remember I pickpocketed a merchant, and he caught me, and then we had this fight where I had to knock him out, and then afterwards I had to go back with tail between my legs and apologize, and like had to kind of win him over by bartering and stuff. And I'm like, this is just a random merchant that you can just go up to and start talking. And now I'm here having this whole kind of dark turn. Yeah.
So there was also a little bit of chat. Bless you.
Excuse me.
There was a bit of chat as well.
Shard's blessings upon you.
Thank you. I was gonna say it, and then I was like, oh no, maybe I've overdone it, because every time I sneeze on a stream or an interview, I say it. Thanks, Dev.
You can never overdo it. You
No.
can never overdo it. Just how I can never overdo my.
Of course. Well, speaking of that, actually, how was it sort of, I guess, learning the Githyanki language? Like, and how did you learn to sort of vocalize and physicalize that?
Hi, I'm back, by the way. I do have the baby on my lap, but she's currently quiet. So, how was it? It was tricky at first, but I feel they kind of eased us into it, because they started off by just having sort of slight words, like just one word, and then maybe a couple of words, and then by the end we were doing full-on sentences. I don't know whether that was intentional, or whether they just decided to write more into it. I'm not sure what the reason for that was, or maybe as the story progressed and she decided, you know, Lae'Zel decides to kind of speak a bit more in her native tongue. Yeah, but it was tricky, because I think the Gith language is quite phonetic, but also not. So some of the stuff that you think is said in a certain way, it's almost phonetically written out, but not quite. So I'd have to constantly refer back to the actual phonetic spellings. Then you have the oh god, Jen, remind me, what's it? Glottal stops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Where you do the like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so that was quite tricky in a lot of them, like the chrai or the chaki, or all of that kind of stopping yourself mid-word. But I think, as with everything, you know, doing it for 4 years, you get the hang of it. You get into it. It was a fun thing to do. It was a fun thing to experience, to have that other side to her. Yeah, but it was hard to make it sound natural, for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
And just back on sort of both your characters, there was a little bit of chat afterwards around the reaction to them, and that had they maybe been male characters, the fandom might have been a little bit more forgiving of their abrasiveness, and that maybe men don't maybe warm to these characters as much, which is ridiculous. And I sort of wondered maybe what your take was on that, and maybe how great it is that we have female characters that are strong and different and, you know, aren't the typical video game damsels in distress. It's great that they're such different characters to play.
Dev?
Yeah, there was a big chat about this, especially with Lae'Zel, because I think there was a lot of comments on Twitter about her being sort of an unlikable quote unquote character. And then one of the writers of a game, I'm being so vague, do you know what I mean? There was a writer
David
from
Gader?
one of these games. Which one?
David Gader.
Yes,
Dragon Age.
I think that was his name. Sorry, my gaming knowledge is really terrible.
I wrote a story on it, don't worry. I got you. I got you.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, he came forward and was basically saying that if it was a male character, nobody would have an issue with it. I honestly never really thought too much about it, because I haven't got myself too involved in this whole likable, unlikable character. Like, I don't really care if people like her or not, because I like her and I've enjoyed playing her. And like I said, for me, she is honest and she's true to herself, and that's all that matters. So if people don't want to give her as much grace as they would a male character, well, fuck them.
Yes.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm just glad that the writers have written a spectacular character who is potentially, and not potentially, she is unlikable in some respects, and they've been brave enough to do that, because I think it is for, still for female characters, whether they be in video games or otherwise, they still have to be written as the nice, people pleasing girlfriend, wife, whatever, like la la la. And I think all of our female characters in this game are not like that. Shadowheart, I don't think is like that either. Shadowheart, everyone's kind of beating to the beat of their own drum, and they're doing their own thing, and they're on this mission, and it's very true to life, because that's what people are. People are not, some people are people pleasers, but I think a lot of us are on our little missions in life, and that's that.
Absolutely. And none of them are there to serve, I mean, other than Tav, I suppose, but like nobody's there to serve the story of anyone else. They all exist in isolation. Like, you could just have Shadowheart, or you could just have Lae'Zel. None of them are there to prop up the story of anyone else's. And I think that's what makes them so three-dimensional and layered and deep. And I love that. That I don't feel like I'm there to be sexy for anyone, or to be subservient to anyone, or to help anyone else's growth. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody is there to go like, oh, I'm there to show you the light. Like, fuck off. They're there because they've got these horribly difficult stories, and they've got these big journeys to go on, but that's for them. Just like in real life, like, I'm not here to serve anyone. Like, I'm here for me and my journey, and I love that. It just feels
and
real.
Didn't we talk about Jen? Somebody was asking us about this, and I thought they made a great point, and I can't quite remember who it was, but about the sex scenes not being not the sex scenes, the romance and the sex and everything that goes with it not being a win state in the game, which I thought was such a great description of it, and really nailed it. Because it's not like it's not like sex with the characters, like, oh, you've won, bye, see you later.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. And you really have to work hard to romance every character by really getting to know them. Otherwise you won't be able to do it.
And you have to maintain that relationship as well, like like in real life. As you say, it's not like an end goal. It's part of the character's journey and relationship journey, but it's not. Yeah, you're so right. It's not a win state in any way.
I can't claim that one. I didn't say that. That was from one of our other interviews, but it's always stuck in my mind, because I think again, I can't speak from that much experience, haven't played that many video games, but I think for a lot of them, getting the woman at the end is kind of the goal, isn't it? And it's, that's a bit tragic, and something that we should probably be moving away from now.
Absolutely.
2023.
Yeah, that's going to be in my head now every time I play a game that involves that kind of romance. Yeah, whether it is a win state or not. Now, we found out that Astarion, apparently there's 2 hours. Is it 2 hours of Astarion's character? Was it Astarion? That is.
Well, I know what you're going. This was disputed.
Oh, was it disputed?
Yes,
Okay.
it was an old interview, but he'd said that there was like 2 hours of footage or quests that hadn't been discovered, and apparently it actually has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I can try and find out.
I don't know about this.
No, I don't know.
Well, I guess we
Disputed.
were interested if there were any sort of secrets that or sort of lines that people maybe haven't quite discovered that you recorded that you know of.
I'm sure there's
know.
loads. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's loads, because if you obviously the game is so vast, and depending on what path you take, you can end up anywhere. I'm sure there's loads of stuff that people haven't discovered.
I think there was a big section that I think there's a bit where it's in one of the adverts, so it's not one of the spoilers, but where I go, my name is Shadowheart, and it's like this big epic moment, and a load of players, it's like dear players were like, where the fuck is this from? And obviously like it was like, and they were like pulling their hair, like trying to find this moment, but it was like part of a particular journey that you have to take. And I think people just hadn't, many people had chosen that particular journey. Like some choices are a bit more obvious or like clear, I suppose. Like you're like, well, obviously I'm not going to choose that path, I'm going to choose this path or something like that. So a lot of people were like really confused and like was like, is this being cut? But there's some bits where like we don't know if stuff's been cut or not. So like I might go, oh yeah, I definitely said that line, but I've got no idea whether that made the cut or not. So,
and a lot of stuff was re-recorded as well. We there's some scenes that we went through many times. There was stuff added or taken away or whatever. So yeah, so but I reckon there is. I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone, I think I read an article that said it would take 8 months of your life to go through the whole game and all its iterations. So I don't think anyone's achieved that yet. So inevitably there's probably is stuff that they haven't discovered for our characters.
I love that though. I love that that there's loads of like secrets, and actually you should have picked up one particular, like, I don't know, hat from a corner of a room that you'd have to spend ages finding, and then that would like unlock a particular journey or like a story. Do you know what I mean? Like I love that. I love that.
And then everyone shares their own story as well, and sort of says, well, I did this, or what did you do? And then I think that really cements the community around the game.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
I'm so desperate to play, by the way. I'm so desperate to play. I'm trying to find a way. Today I was like looking at my max stats and I was like, could I make this work on like an 8 gig RAM? And it says you can, but I don't think it's advisable. So I don't know if I can. I really want to play.
We are having demo to our house and play.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to play. But I just really want to, not that I have any time to play, but I really want to play. Yeah, I'm actually just waiting for PlayStation to send me a PlayStation so I can play. I'll be waiting a long time.
You're gonna get one now.
Yeah, no,
they should definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this little bit and post it on its own, and then
we'll make it a mission.
Yeah.
Yes, make it a mission to send me a PlayStation. Yeah.
Speaking of like having different playthroughs, because we do a podcast each week and we talk about when we've been playing Baldur's Gate, we've been talking about like the different experiences that we've both been having. But I'm doing a run through at the moment on Twitch, which is called my Be a Dick playthrough, which has been like whenever there's options, I just have to pick the most dickish answer. And every time,
how's it going?
Apparently,
really well.
Really well, yeah. Well, Astarion loves everything I say, approves of everything. You both also approve.
Lae'Zel approves.
Yeah, exactly. Lae'Zel, it's always Lae'Zel approves, Astarion approves, and like to be honest, 50% of the time, Shadowheart approves as well. So I'm like, well, great. It's, I mean, some of the funniest lines actually I think are through doing that. It's been.
Have you got to the circus yet?
No, I'm actually about to. So I think I'm quite early on. I'm trying to do like everything, but I'm at the part where it forks, where you can choose to go over a mountain or through a cave.
Okay.
So
I've got to say this. Yeah. The circus is a little side quest that was one of my personal favorites to record, just because it was so random and so out of character for Lae'Zel. Enjoy if and when you get to that.
Do you know if that's like Act 1, 2, or 3? Or?
I don't know which act it is. Yeah. I don't think it's Act 1.
We recorded it quite towards the end, but that doesn't mean anything, does it?
Yeah. I don't
recording
think it's
out.
Act 1 though. I reckon 2 or 3.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that, definitely. Yeah, I'm saving it for stream because, yeah, there's people following. And it's quite interesting because a lot of people in the chat are coming along being like, oh my God, how did that happen to you? It never, like, even occurred to me that that would
That's
happen.
it.
And
Yeah.
Love.
like, my character is now
Yeah,
permanently blinded in one eye.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's, yeah, permanent as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the witch.
Didn't know that was an option.
No, yeah,
I didn't
people
either.
didn't either in the chat, and I'm like, okay, great. And I googled it and looked on Reddit, and apparently, yeah, that's gonna be a disadvantage for me for the rest of the game. So that's what's fun about it, though, isn't it? Yeah, you make these terrible choices.
Yeah.
You have to deal with them.
Are you doing a playthrough together? Are you gonna try that?
We don't play together.
We can't. I don't think our relationship would.
I love that.
Our relationship, we've just recently started playing a bit of Party Animals, and I've never seen you so angry in my life.
I get too competitive, so it's my fault.
Yeah, he plays things like Dark Souls and like really difficult games, and I'm there goofing around with, yeah, I mean, I've put Baldur's Gate on easy just because I'm enjoying the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Jennifer, how's it been playing with your girlfriend? So are you playing on Twitch?
Yeah, we're playing on Twitch, and neither of us are gamers, and we still don't know how to. And we've only had the PlayStation. Literally everything we've done. I mean, we've done two. I didn't need to swear at you then. We've done 2 playthroughs. One of character creation and one like recruiting companions, essentially. And we are literally learning as we go. It is chaotic. We had like 2,000 people just screaming at us where to go last playthrough. Yeah, I recommend learning an entirely new skill in front of thousands of people. It's great. No, it's really fun, and I'm so glad we're playing it, and we both just keep on going, when can we play next? We miss our characters, when can we play? And but because we've committed to not playing outside of Twitch, we want to honor that, but it's really hard because we just want to play all the time.
Yeah. That's like me too, yeah. In fact, I had loaded it up on the PlayStation off stream, and I was like, I'm just going to go look through the character sheet, look at all the details and stuff, and not actually progress the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw a TikTok as well of you, and she was choosing Lae'Zel over Shadowheart, and you were not happy about that.
Yeah, we have worked through that. Just it will take some time to repair. No, to be fair, she was questioning it, and I think she just likes the novelty of Lae'Zel because she's had. To be fair, Aliona has been on nearly every single session that I've done in the last. I mean, I think she joined it a couple of months in, a few months in, but since then it's been exclusively me. So I think she's just a little bit tired of Shadowheart. But we do both love Lae'Zel a lot.
Yeah,
she is. I mean, who doesn't?
He doesn't. We love Deb, and we love Lae'Zel. So yeah,
we all know who Aliona really loves. You know,
all right.
It came out. Freudian slip. What can we do?
It in, Space Lizard.
And it's great as well in terms of the sort of relationship options in the game, sort of how diverse it is, how it's really mixed, and there really is sort of something for everyone. How was that recording that? Was that important for you as a cast to make sure that there is that sort of authentic representation when it comes to the relationships?
Hugely. And we made sure, I can't remember when it was, it's like a year ago, we re-recorded every instance of talking to the player, to Tav, with the option of they them pronouns, and I think that's just speaks volumes. And like, Larian won't shout about it, but I just think it speaks volumes for the kind of game and the kind of company Larian is. There's so much representation, and like, obviously that's incredibly important for me, but I think it's really important to the players too. And like, there is a big queer community that play this game, and I'm just so glad that they seem very, very happy with it as well. Like, that means everything. But yeah, what about you, Deb?
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why people are kind of losing their minds over this game, because it is, you can just be anyone you like, and I feel that everybody's incredibly accepting, the community is incredibly accepting. I've even Jen and I spoke about this the other day, but even the fans that are contacting us and leaving us messages, there's been no nastiness, there's been nothing like that. Everybody, it's just welcoming to anybody. And I think that it, unfortunately, the real world sometimes isn't like that, and sometimes it feels like in Baldur's Gate we're in this sort of bubble of inclusivity, which is incredible, and it sometimes makes me like sad that that doesn't always translate into the real world. So I think we're just incredibly lucky. Like Jen said, yeah, Larian won't shout about it. They won't be like, oh, we're, you know, look at us, we're so inclusive, because they just sort of did it naturally. And
as it should be.
Yeah,
as it should be,
as they should do. Yeah, as they should do. I think it's just important to have spaces where people can be themselves, whatever they want to be. Why not? Like, yeah,
love that.
Love it.
I'm just gonna pause it 1 second. All right, we're back.
Cool. So we mentioned at the start Bing Bong and High Rollers. How has that been? How was your introduction to D&D sort of live? How has that been for you?
It was so much fun. It was the first time the whole cast had been in the same room, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the first time the cast had been, and the first time I think everyone bar Sam and Neil and Amelia had played D&D. So I don't know about you, Jen, but I was a bit, I was a bit overwhelmed and a bit nervous, because there seemed to be a lot of stuff to know and remember. But luckily, the fantastic Mark Sherlock Humes, I love his name. I love how he's was absolutely incredible. I thought at just really easing us into it and just making sure that we had fun while not having to think too much about the little details, because there was a lot of stuff on that character sheet that I really didn't pay much attention to, because I was more engrossed in like the role playing and the story and the acting. Some of the battle stuff I was like, okay, I really don't get this, I'm going to get other people to just and luckily other people would just be like, yeah, this is what you do, this is what you do.
Sam was next to me, like, you know, and like I was always that kid that was always like kind of stealing other people's homework, and they were definitely helping me with my homework. But yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. I was a bit nervous because I have ADHD, and I was like, oh god, there's a lot of waiting around, and I was really worried that I was like zoning out, and like it was funny because Aliona and I were on, and you were as well, Dev, on the chat when it was being streamed for the first time, and so many people like, I can see that Jen zoned out now.
Did they say that? Did they?
Yeah.
I couldn't see you zoning out, and I was sat opposite you.
My favourite bit though was when watching this.
Oh, Jen.
We lost Jen.
We lost it.
Her favourite bit as well.
Oh.
Look, this is the beauty of this absolutely chaotic podcast episode, that you know, when Jen leaves, I can sort of cover for her, albeit without video, and then when I'm not here, she can cover for me. So there you go. It's just absolutely chaotic vibes.
Oh,
she's back.
She's back.
Oh, I'm back.
I was about to take us to the next question. Actually, is for Devora, so it would be feel free. You can relax.
I want to know your favourite bit.
Oh, my favourite bit was when Dev, I caught Dev fleabagging the camera occasionally. That was my favourite bit. Fully like down the lens. I was like, Dev.
Oh my god. Well, because I was like suddenly like, oh, we're being filmed from all angles. Like, where should I look?
Never know where to look.
No, you never do.
Devora, now you've done a fair bit of TV and film work as well as video games. How did you get into video game voice acting? And how has the industry changed since you've started doing that?
I got into it completely by random luck and chance, and I feel very lucky that I was just in the right place at the right time. I was looking for a voiceover agent at the time, I wasn't having much luck, honestly, but because it wasn't in the forefront of my mind, I sort of left it. And then a few months later, my wonderful voice agents, who are still my voice agents, sent me through the audition for Baldur's Gate 3, and I think another audition, and I ended up booking both of them. And then sort of things started happening from there. In terms of how the industry's changed, I don't know if I've been in it long enough to really comment about that, because again, I still feel like, though I've been doing it for the last 4 years, my actual knowledge of games and how they're made and how they're put together and all of that from the other side is very limited. I really am there to sort of give me a character, give me the lines, and I'll do my thing. But from the other side, I'm baffled. I'm like Bambi, I'm like a newborn Bambi. I have very little, I realize this is making me come across in all these interviews as very naive and just somebody like, people are going to be like, oh, she just stumbled into it, and like, yeah, but yeah, I was just very jammy and I did stumble into it, and it just happens to be something that I'm good at. But I can't really comment too much about as to how the industry changed. I guess the only thing that I would say from my perspective, having played video games a very long time ago, is the thing that we were talking about earlier about female characters. I think that we're seeing a positive change there, and I think that's great. And yeah, the more the better. Let's have more of those types of characters. Let's have more characters that aren't afraid to piss people off and to speak their mind. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I've got to say about that.
Yes.
And Jennifer, how about you in terms of your start in voice acting? I know you've done quite a lot. I'm really excited that you were in Elden Ring, because that's one of my favorites.
Oh, that was so much fun to record. Completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different vibe. Not more whispery. Yeah, that was so much fun. Very intense. Like Miyazaki was on the line, like literally, and like loads of people. There must have been about like 30, I want to say, I'm kind of guessing, but like translators and like the translator of the game, Miyazaki's like personal translator, like the devs, the director, like that was intense and very precise. Yeah, I'm glad I'd done a lot of video game before then, because I think if I'd been thrown into the deep end there, I would have like absolutely fumbled back. But yeah, that was very cool. But no, about my start in video games, yeah, I mean, like neither of us, both of us like still work across any. I feel like that's the case in the UK, is that there's no like separate thing for voice actors. Like we all do everything, and for this we don't see ourselves as voice actors at all, because we did the mocap.
Exactly.
And like they use our faces as references, and so I very much feel like it's not just voice. But I started off in theatre, which actually serves for video game very well, because you have to have that awareness of your body in a way that you don't necessarily as much for TV and film. But yeah, kind of similar to Dev, I kind of stumbled into it. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, I need to do video games. I was just invited to audition for Divinity, for DOS 2, and then was just kind of chucked a load of NPCs and really thrown in the deep end, and got to practice my regional accents and playing a bazillion different urchins and children, some of which chat to each other at later points in the game.
Wow.
And skulls and chests and all sorts. So really cut my teeth on that, and then kind of other games followed. Like I did Augmented Empire, which has got what's her name? Red from Orange Is the New Black. It's a really cool cast, and Nick Frost I think is randomly in it. Like a tiny little indie game that I did and played the lead in that, and I was like, oh, I love this. I love how well it's written. I love like the journey I'm on. Okay, this is more of like, I want to do more of this, because I'm not seeing these characters for me in other mediums. Like Shadowheart, I don't think I would play well, hopefully if Netflix take it on, and you know, I'd love to play Shadowheart, but I don't think I would be given that opportunity. Whereas, like, because also I'm not really seeing the Shadowhearts and Lae'Zels on TV as much.
Absolutely not.
So what an opportunity to play that character and to serve that story. So I'm very glad that it's something that I accidentally stumbled into, just like Deb. But very happy here, very happily stumbled.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that what I love about video games is that it's very, and I had the word on the tip of my tongue and I've forgotten it. It's a trend today for me. What's the egalitarian is the word. I think that most people have access to most auditions, and you're essentially auditioning, you know, blind. People aren't seeing our faces, what we look like. It's really about your voice. Either you fit what people have an idea of the character, or you don't. And I love that. I love that kind of no bullshit sort of, which sometimes unfortunately in film and TV can exist. You know, you have to be of a certain tier, you have to be an A-list actor for this role, you have to be there's really a lot less of that, let's say, in video games, and that makes it great because it's all about the work.
Yeah. Like, it's not a complete meritocracy. I think there's always improvements.
No, it's not. It's not.
But far more so than TV and film. And I like the talent that I've seen on this game alone. It is so phenomenal. And as you say, like, they're not A-list actors. They're brilliant. And there are A-list actors. Hello, Jason Isaacs, J.K. Simmons.
Of course.
But so many of the cast are fucking fantastic. And yeah, they're not mega famous. They're not. But it just proves how many brilliant actors there are outside of that small sphere of the A-list. You know, there are so many brilliant actors, and I love that, as Dev says, like, video games showcase that.
And also there's been no ego because of that.
Yeah,
absolutely none.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of on the same, you know, level playing field, and that's made the process much smoother, much more fun for everybody. We all get on like a house on fire, and it's, yeah, I think it's brilliant.
I mean, except for Dev, she does demand a lot of things, like
well,
milk, toilet paper, you know,
a plaque outside the studio, you know.
That, I mean, that is true.
That is genuinely true.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah, and just following on from that, I mean, there was an interview today with Idris Elba, who obviously is in Cyberpunk, which, Devora, I know you were also in. Congrats.
Congratulations
my good mate,
today.
Idris. Yeah, we hang out all the time. Yeah, I call him Id.
And he was talking very much about there being more opportunities for actors in games nowadays, and he said that it was a sign of the times, and it definitely feels like there are a lot of actors moving more into video games because there are so many opportunities, but also it feels like video game actors themselves, or at least people who started in video games, are becoming a lot more visible. You know, I mean, you and the rest of the cast are obviously becoming very visible since the success of the game. People like Ben Starr, who we've had on the podcast before, you know, has been all over the social medias. It feels like there is a lot of opportunity for video game actors now to be more visible and to be recognized in their own right.
Yeah,
as they should be.
Absolutely. I feel like
they should be.
I feel like they've been slept on, or we've been slept on a little
Completely.
bit. Especially with the amount of graft we put into this. I mean, it's the equivalent of the amount of cinematics. It's equivalent to what, 80 films we worked out?
What?
Yeah, because it's about 170 hours, 60 hours of cinematics. So if you think of that in film terms, that's 80 films.
That's crazy.
And it isn't just like a lot of, I mean, there is a lot of like, oh no, what's in that chest? Like there's a lot of acting that we really worked on, and with a giant team, you know, but I feel like damn straight video game actors should be celebrated and should be visible. And I think we we all want to change that. We all want to highlight each other's work and go, yeah, look how much work we put in over 4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, and people spend so much time with us, hundreds of hours with our characters. It's not like it's kind of it's not passive. It's an active relationship with our characters, and we really care about it. So yeah, I'm happy about that and that changing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very keen to put actors in like, oh, you're just a voice actor, or you just do video games, and that's what you do, and you know, it can't cross over into other mediums, which is, you know, bollocks, obviously. But also, let's be honest, the video game industry is bigger than Hollywood by a mile. So why is it still, I don't know the answer to that. Why are we still getting sort of put in this, yeah, oh, you're just a video game actor doing silly voices. Like, I can't even. It's not like that at all. And also, bear in mind that when we're doing all these hours and hours in this game, we're in there doing them all by ourselves. So like Jen mentioned on another interview we did, like, you know, when you're on set in the TV and film, you'd have breaks, or you'd bouncing off other actors. No, when we're in the studio for like 4 hours, it's just us.
Yeah.
Like, that is so intense. And to get those kinds of performances with no context, no reference of the world, no other actors to bounce off of is an incredible feat. So yes, I think that video game actors should have more visibility, and we've been making noise about it, I think partly because it's been a lot of fun and everyone's very on board with the silliness, and the community's very on board with the silliness. I love that. I bloody love that. But also partly because, I don't know, I just thought like, oh, I wonder if people would be interested in hearing a bit more about what I do in my voiceover work, say. And actually turned out people really wanted to know about that. And then turned out that everybody wants to know lots more about behind the scenes Baldur's Gate stuff. And that's why I think now people are actually interested, not just in us as Lae'Zel and Shadowheart and Astarion or Karlach or whatever, but also in, hey, how does this work? How do you do motion capture? How does and people are genuinely, because they don't know. They're like, oh wow, you did the motion capture. People don't even know that.
Yeah, they didn't. I think until Aliona's thread, really, I feel like people didn't really actually know. Which, considering how many more hours that added to, like, we could have done the game a lot quicker. Like probably more than halved the hours, but no, like Larian chose to invest in that for a purpose, and that deserves shouting about.
Yeah.
I guess with film and TV, people see the actors there and think, oh, you're just in front of a camera, I know how this works. Whereas with a video game, it's the graphics, it's all the magic that people sort of now want to know exactly how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know more about how that works.
I was just about to say, I don't even know how it works, to be honest. I just get in my suit and stand there and read the lines. But obviously it's a lot more complicated than that, but there's lots of people behind the scenes doing all sorts of magical stuff that I have no idea how they do it.
Oh, so clever. And they're all so passionate as well. That's what I really love about it, is that like everyone gives a shit. It's beautiful, really.
You want to do a final question?
Nice. Do you want to scroll down and see if there's any more that we might have missed?
We've had because we have had quite a few people. A lot of these questions are actually come from the community as well. So a huge thank you to them for it. Is there?
Well, maybe just to finish up, sort of what were your favorite character interactions that you recorded? Are there any particular moments from the script that you're like, actually, that was a moment that I really enjoyed recording or really enjoyed getting stuck into?
Good question. Go on, Deb.
Well, I have a few, but I can't really. I'm sort of going to be very vague about it because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't got there yet. So the Lae'Zel's sunrise scene, Jen knows the one I mean because she directed that one. So that one is very special because it's a very different side to Lae'Zel. Yeah, it's and when we talk about cinematics and stuff, when it's put together, obviously I did it in a grey box essentially, but now seeing it in its full glory, it's just magical, and with the music and everything. By the way, the composer is Bulgarian. Jen, did you know?
I did not know that.
Yes. I'm also Bulgarian, just for context. But yeah, so I was very pleased to find out. And some of the vocalizations in the background, they're Bulgarian singers as well.
Love that.
Yes,
Very
I
nice.
know, lovely. But I digress. And I really enjoyed our Shadowheart Lae'Zel knife scene. I don't think that's too much of a
You've had
spoiler.
that
Lots
I've
of people
just
have seen
recently had that,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing my Be a Dick playthrough, I'm like, I can be a dick, but I also do not want to lose either of those characters. So I had to kind of break away from what I was meant to be doing and be like, come on, please, don't kill each other.
Yeah, just calm down. Yeah, that was fun because that involved a lot more physicality than usually we'd be doing. So that was, a challenge, which I liked. I enjoyed that. Yeah, loved the circus just because it was a bit of fun.
I'm so
Random
excited
fun.
to get to that part.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And yeah, and I'm gonna stop there because there is more, but I don't wanna spoil it too much. So I'll hand over to Jen.
Mine are the romance scenes. I love them. I love how it's not cloying. It's not like, I mean,
No.
it is sweet and it's vulnerable and truthful, but it's not overly so. It's not overly rom-com. But I loved it. I really love the writing and the way it kind of, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, any romance scenes I always really enjoyed. And yeah, I mean, I really loved, there's a crux at the end of, a climax at the end of Act 2, which was really hardcore. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I really enjoyed that. All the heavy hitting stuff, I'm like, yeah, give it. And then I'd go and have a cry at home. But yeah, all of that. But I did love all of the interactions with Lae'Zel so much. I loved fighting with Dev, and yeah, and I particularly enjoyed possibly, no, I'm not going to give anything away. There might be some violence, and I did enjoy that.
Do you like the ones like high passion? You like those?
Yeah. High passion. High passion. Anything with high passion. Should have been doing Greek plays or something. But yeah, loved that. Loved anything juicy.
All of our banter, all of our snipey banter with Shadowheart is prime peak content for me. And I remember when I first started recording it, and I was like, God, she's got a bit of a problem with Shadowheart. Like, what's this? Lae'Zel's got real attitude. And then I was like, oh, Shadow, I better look up who the cast is. I haven't told Jen this story, have I? And I was like, oh, Jennifer English, is it? Who is this Jennifer English? Who is this Shadowheart that I don't like so much? But anyway, it was just funny because I was just wondering who the actor was, but I didn't know you obviously until we met. But it's just so funny now because we're really good friends.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I particularly enjoy that our characters are enemies, but we're really close now. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah, the fact you both came on together just seems perfect.
Yeah.
So to finish up, we thought we'd have a bit of fun. And because Baldur's Gate 3 is the game of the summer, maybe even the game of the year.
The game of the year?
Honestly, Ed. Honestly.
We haven't finished the year yet. That's all I'm saying.
Excuse me.
Oh, God, sorry.
I went in quite aggressive then. I
loved it.
Yeah,
That's
I did
fine.
as well. That was great.
We thought we would pair that with the song of the summer, which was Kylie Minogue's Padam Padam, at least for us.
Absolutely. A banger that we've been playing non-stop, right?
Yes.
Right. I'm finding the lyrics because I haven't got them here.
Devora, we were inspired by you because I know you've been doing some TikToks of reciting lyrics as Lae'Zel.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So we thought it would be fun for you to both recite some lyrics for us as Lae'Zel and Shadowheart.
Absolutely.
You look like fun to me.
Padam.
You look a little like somebody I know.
Padam.
And I can tell you how this ends.
Padam.
I'll be in your head all weekend.
Padam.
shivers and butterflies.
Padam.
I get the shivers when I look into your eyes.
Padam.
And I can tell that you're all in.
Skva. Sorry, I mean. Padam.
Because I can hear your heart beating.
Padam. 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 Padam.
I hear it and I know.
Padam. Padam.
I know you want to take me home.
Padam.
And to get to know me close.
Padam. Skva.
When your heart goes.
Padam. Padam.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, yeah.
I love you.
You were talking about having like a big queer following. I think it's now doubled.
Yes, 100%.
You're
The
welcome,
banger we
guys.
did not know we needed in our lives.
See, now you're gonna listen, if you listen to
You
it
have to go
once,
listen to it now.
well, yeah, then you'll have to play it again and again. Because I mean, yeah, when that song came out, I think you literally played it constantly on repeat for a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Well
was.
done.
Wow.
Love that.
Yeah.
I
You-
love Kylie so much. I'm 5'1" as well, and so I think I've always been like a baby Kylie.
Aww.
That's so nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that was a great way to end. Thank you both so much
yeah.
for joining us. We
Thank
really appreciate
you.
it.
And thank you for going along with the absolutely chaotic vibes of this podcast.
We usually
love
are
it.
ourselves.
I'm
So,
sorry
yeah,
for bringing
it-
so much chaos.
It's very on brand.
I'm sorry too, but I have a feeling you're going to edit it and nobody's even going to know what happened
Nobody's
behind
gonna
the
know.
scenes.
No
Oh
one's
gosh.
gonna know.
I
We're
very
going to keep that in just so that it's clear that he hasn't edited it.
yeah. No, that's true. And I say it's been really interesting. Like, not just obviously we had the Kylie joking bit at the end, but like learning about the process, the way that you've like gone through those 4 years of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of dialogue being recorded, and how you've gone about it. It's been really fascinating.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you
you.
so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
Where can
Thanks.
people both find you on social media?
Deb, Deb.
Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Just search for my name. I should pop up.
And I am on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok as well. And I promise to use it more. At Jennifer J
Oh,
English on all
she's
of
back.
them.
Brilliant. And yeah, I will put all the details in the description as well. But thank you very much. And yeah, if you
Thank
just
you.
hold on after we've said goodbye, so I can grab you for one little extra thing.
Yeah.
but, yeah, Ed, where can we find you?
You can find me at ed_nights on Twitch and Twitter,
And on Eurogamer.
and my writing on Eurogamer. Yeah.
And I'm Biggest Bennis on pretty much everywhere. Just go to biggestbennis.com. It's got all the links on there. And yeah, if you want to check out any more Swapping Joysticks episodes, go to swappingjoysticks.com. We've got everything on there, all the past episodes, and all the ones that we've got on video as well.
Awesome. Thank you again to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
And listeners, watchers, we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.